Hey, what's up guys? So I recently sat down and did an interview with my friend Craig. And what I love about this story and how he tells this story is how relatable it is and how honest he was just about what he went through back in the West that led him to even considering leaving the US and coming to the Philippines. And then everything that he went through when he got here, coming with high hopes and expectations, and then things not working out right away. And I didn't get it in the interview, but we actually talked off camera about how he was going to give up. He was getting very frustrated, but instead he looked at it as some learning experiences, and now he has this setup that is perfect for him. He is loving his life here in the Philippines, and he wanted to share his story. And there's one thing that he mentioned that he was not even anticipating being a factor for him to come here to the Philippines that ended up being his number one reason for loving his life in the Philippines. Most guys overlook this. I think it's a really big one for you guys to think about. Let's get to the video.
Okay, well in 2023, I found that my marriage was coming to an end, and I was living in rural North Carolina by myself. As time wore on, I discovered that I really didn't have anything to keep me there. And by chance, I came across, I think it was one of your videos. Started watching one video became two, and I started watching every video I could find on the Philippines, and I started thinking, like, could this be a possibility? Is this an option? The thing I kept consistently hearing was that before you make the decision to go to the Philippines, you gotta visit first. But I knew after about a week that I was like, yes, I'm coming back here. And it really wasn't even the dating or the culture or the food or anything like that. It was actually the friendships I was making. I was making so many friendships among the male expat community, and just making so many new friends that was really what sealed the deal for me to make the decision to come here. And even after I went home back to the US to take care of all my belongings and stuff, some of those friends were still checking on me and saying, hey man, how you doing? When you coming back? You know, that kind of thing. And so that got me even more excited that there were people that were checking in on me, and they cared about me, and they were looking forward to me coming back.
How would you describe your friendships and ability to make friends back home?
That's a good question, because I lived in a very rural community. I was just having really a hard time making connections. You know, everything that I tried, I even tried joining gardening groups because I like to garden, and trying to think outside the box for making friends, and all of my efforts just kind of fell flat on their face. And when my wife left, that dilemma just showed itself to be even bigger,
Did you dabble in the dating market in the West before you came here to the Philippines?
I did. I tried a dating app. I wouldn't really get that many looks. I had conversations with a couple women, but when it came down to brass tacks of actually getting together and meeting, it seemed like they always had an excuse, And there was one woman in particular. She lived 3 hours away, and I told her, I said, hey, look, I'll make the drive. If you need to, I'll make the drive. Come over, I'll have lunch, and then I'll get in my truck and turn around and go home. And I was willing to make that kind of trip to maybe just to have a chance just to meet her, And she always had an excuse or some reason. So I'm really not sure what's going on with the women in the dating apps in the West. They're there, they're wanting to chat, but they just don't seem very serious about actually taking the steps necessary to maybe have a chance at a relationship. I just found it very odd.
How would you describe the women that you would match and chat with and that you were at least somewhat interested in? So we can compare like age, looks, and all of that, and then compare it to the opportunities that popped up when you came here.
Oh my gosh.
How would you describe those
American
women?
It is such a stark difference. It's kind of like if you've looked at what's going on with women in the West at all, that there's and I hate to sound so derogatory, but there's a lot of entitlement, a lot of obesity, the makeup, the eyelashes, and that's kind of what's available in the dating pool. And
about how old? Age
well,
range?
I couldn't even get attention from a woman less than 50 years old. I'm 62, and the dilemma for me, the problem that's associated with that is she's going to have children, she's going to have grandchildren, and then of course there's herself. So in the list of priorities, guess where you're going to fall? You're probably going to come in like third or fourth place in her list of priorities. In the Filipina, her number one priority is going to be the family, but once she is connected, has a relationship with a man, then he becomes the priority. And it's just a stark difference compared to the West.
So I know you've had good and bad experiences here. Of course, the Philippines isn't perfect. There are many pitfalls and barriers to finding the right one, and we'll get into that next. But talk about your first sort of phase of dating here. What are some of your first experiences like?
You know, it's really true that like a lot of vloggers or expats will tell you that you're probably going to go through more than one, maybe several Filipinas that might be problematic until you find a good one. And that was kind of my experience. I dated 4 girls, and for a variety of reasons it didn't work out. Most of them related to finances. And before I finally found my current girlfriend, Kathy.
What are your learning lessons from that first phase of dating here in the Philippines and running into some of these not so good experiences?
I would say virtually almost all of them, they put on a good face at first, you know, but as you get to know them more over time, some of the things that become problematic start to rear their ugly head the longer you're dating with them. And because virtually all of them look pretty good, you know, early on, but as it progressed, there were red flags that started to show up. And so I would say if I made a mistake, it would be that any attempts I made to screen them or make sure that I wasn't getting one that was fell short or flat on their face. So I would say that, you know, even despite your best efforts trying to screen them out, they'll initially put on that good face at first, and then some of the things that are problematic will show up later. I had chats with some girls that, like, within the first 5 minutes, they're asking for money. That's probably on the most extreme level.
And that's easy to just pivot from.
Yeah, you know, and just say, hey, you know what? And I always try to be nice, and I didn't get, you know, crappy with it. I just say, hey, you know what? I'm probably not a good match for you.
So the girls that you were dating that lasted longer, were you feeling something genuine before they approached you with needing money? And can you walk through maybe one scenario?
Yeah, you know, I would say at least one of those 4 looked very promising. And then it wasn't until I found out that she was being kind of deceitful. We would go out to eat, and I noticed she was ordering an exorbitant amount of food. And I'm like, what the heck's going on here, you know? And then it didn't take me long to figure out that what she was doing was getting the food in a takeout box and taking it home to mom and dad and feeding mom and dad on my dime. Now, had she been honest with me and said, hey, is it all right if I order a little extra food for my mom and dad? I probably would have said, you know, that's fine, you know, okay, you know, I get it. But the fact that she was deceitful in a little thing, it got me to thinking that if she's going to be deceitful in the little things, how deceitful much more will she be in the big things? And ultimately that led to me breaking it off with her. But
yeah, you got to trust your instincts. And so the other ones, was it similar in that they would just start to focus on money and struggles and hope?
Yeah, there was the first girl I dated, very sweet girl. She worked all day in a sorry store and just wasn't making very much money. And any money that she did make went to support her family. And unfortunately, it was woefully short of what their needs were. And she wouldn't really come out and always directly ask me for money, but she would lay down what I would call like the hard suggestion. Or initially, I helped out where I could. You know, like she said her dad had diabetes. Whether he did or not, I would not really know. Maybe that was just another ploy to get more money out of me. But I, you know, gave her some money to help out with her dad's insulin, which it really wasn't that much money. It was actually very, compared to the West, it's pretty cheap. And then that would evolve into something else, you know. And then it became my daughter she had a daughter, needed a uniform for school, and And then, one thing, I'm starting to see the dollar signs in my head, and I'm starting to kind of add this up in my head, and I'm like, I really can't afford this girl, and even in spite of my best efforts, I can't afford her, and honestly, I didn't want to pay all that, I'm trying to protect my budget, and like you should, and so ultimately I had to break it off with her as well, because she just was coming from such a great place of need. I just couldn't afford it.
I can appreciate that, but besides just the cost and the practical side of it, you can't afford it. What about feeling it's not genuine, and that her desire to be with you is simply, as a lot of terms would be, to be their ATM, her ATM? Is that kind of how
in spite
it
of all the attention she might have given me, and any love or attention that you really, when it comes down to it, you may not really know
what's real,
real or not, and you just have to. Each one of us has to make that decision. Is this real, or is she just playing me? And even if she's not playing me, maybe she's just coming from a place of survival.
Let's pivot to where things really change for you. So you currently have a live-in girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Things are much different now. How did that come about, and what were the things that made it so different for you to pull the trigger and say, hey, move in with me? With
her, it was really, she told me that she was a very simple girl, and she made it very clear to me. She goes, I'm not looking for your money. She vocalized that I don't want you to ever think that I'm in this for your money. And while any girl could say that, you just have to watch and observe and see if that's really the case, And with her, she's never asked me for anything. And everything that I've ever done for her, I've done because I wanted to, not because I had to. And it was, with her, it was easy because she takes such great care of me. She does everything you could possibly. She treats me like a king. She cooks, she cleans, she's sweet, she's caring. I mean, she just, I kind of had a mental checklist of what I wanted in a Filipina, and she really just checked off on every box. Early on, we probably held back a portion of ourselves. We both held back a little bit, holding back a little bit of our heart, and that went on for, I would say, probably for a good month and a half, where I felt like I was kind of holding a piece of myself back from her, having those reservations, okay, is this going to be another, like what I've already gone through? And it wasn't until probably maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks, I feel like we both have really just given ourselves completely to each other. And
was she cautious as well? Is that what you said?
Yeah, she was. She had a couple really bad relationships, and fear that, am I going to be like her previous relationships that were abusive, treated her poorly. And
had she dated foreigners before? Or?
Yes, she dated a gentleman from the UK, and that was a bad experience as well.
I have learned that girls that are cautious, and it makes sense, there's a reason why they are, and they want to make sure they make the right decision. Mm-hmm. It seems obvious, but a lot of guys don't look at this as a real green flag of what to look for. And a girl that's a little bit more forward with you is potentially a red flag. Could you compare the two in that way?
Oh yeah, you hear all the time about how Filipinos will tell you that they love you within the first day or two, and I would say that's probably was the case with many of them, and that didn't happen with Kathy. She, like I said, she was holding back a little bit, and so I would tell guys, if they tell you they love you within the first day,
tread wisely.
Tread wisely.
Comparing it to girls before, did you date younger and then find some correlation between age, life experience?
When I first got here, I was probably like most guys coming here, most foreigners coming here. I thought, I'm going to get me a 20. I'm 62. I'll get me a 25-year-old, 26-year-old girl. A lot of single mothers in that age bracket, and for me, that was something that I was at 62. I was not interested in raising a young child, and so I had to rethink that and change my mindset and say, well, maybe I maybe I date a little older. So then I started rethinking the age range, and I thought, you know, I've seen a lot of 36, 37, even 40, 42 women that they're beautiful, you know, and they rarely look their age. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna try a little bit older. Kathy's 38, looks like she's 28. The single mom who's 36, 37, a lot of times their children are going to be 17, 18. They self-reliant, maybe more self-sufficient.
Right.
So that if you want to take that whisker away to Boracay for a week, you can do that because kids are, you know, they're able to take care of themselves. And a lot of times they might have grandparents that they can hang out with, you know, while you're gone.
It doesn't impact your dream, your retirement.
Yeah, you're able to
lifestyle.
Stick to your plan. I want a vacation. I want to travel, but I'd love to have someone, a Filipina, to go with me, travel with me. Your plans are still intact if you're willing to maybe look at a slightly older Filipina.
This is such a big thing because guys know they can come here in their 60s and date girls in their 20s. But if they don't have kids, they want kids. It's one of the two in most cases.
Right.
And that's something for the retired guy that comes here to really factor in. Some might be okay with not having kids, but most have them or want them. It's important to know that even in their 30s, late 30s, a lot of them look a lot younger.
They do. They do. Their complexion is it's amazing, and you would think under all this heat and humidity that it would take a beating, but they almost all of them rarely look their age.
So comparing that to what you described back in the U.S., 50 plus, obese, just like unreliable even to meet in person.
Yeah,
not
guys,
really,
get your passport. Just get your passport and get over here. I'm telling you, this is probably the craziest thing I've ever done in my life, coming here. But I will tell you that it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. You know, like most of us, I worked hard my whole life. I worked all my life. I was fortunate that I was able to save, and I saved very aggressively because I had a vision in mind of what I wanted my retirement to look like. And this has been a dream come true. You know, I got this amazing pool behind me. I got the gym. I wear shorts and a t-shirt all year round. I have friendships. I've got a wonderful woman in my life now. It's like, guys, just you gotta get over here. I'm telling you. Just understand that there are going to be some challenges. You're going to go through them. We all do. You're going to make some dumb mistakes, and you know, it's just part of the drill. But I think all of us eventually we navigate our way through those things, and once you get through the other side, you're going to be so happy that you moved here. Some guys are not happy, and they elect to go back to the U.S., but I would say the majority of us are happy that we came here, and that's my case. I love it here. I can't imagine living anywhere else right now, and other than trips to the United States to see my sons, I have no plans of going back.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for your
time.
Yeah,
Chad.
All right.
And by the way, real quick, Chad was probably my number one influencer that led me to coming here. And I will tell you that Chad, what you see on camera is the same guy that he is off camera. He's a really neat guy, and keep watching his channel. He gives just
Thanks, man.
good information, and for me, it's really a blessing to be able to not only get to interview with you, but to also be your friend now. You were the guy that really
wow, that means a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome channel. So thanks, Chad.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching that. I appreciate it. And Craig, thank you for your time, man. It was a pleasure to sit down and hear your story, to help everyone out, to help them with their own planning, to potentially do the same thing and come over here to the Philippines. And if you guys are thinking about coming and you need some help with your planning on what to bring or any of that stuff, check out the links in the description. It's all geared towards traveling over here. So things to bring, I have my Amazon page with a bunch of stuff that I have bought or things that are on my wish list, all related to traveling and coming to this part of the world. So appreciate that. Thank you. More videos coming soon. Cheers.